Welcome to another episode of the Butler Did podcast. I am, of course, your host, Adam Butler. So happy to be here, and I'm not going to lie, I'm happy that the election is over. First and foremost, thank you to everybody that's subscribed to the YouTube channel. Thank you to everyone that's subscribed to the podcast via all podcast and streaming platforms. And shout out to everybody that's been patient with me. I launched this new channel. And I think that's the last big move I'm going to make in regards to YouTube. We're going to keep it simple from now on. Every Wednesday, new episodes. So thank you so much for bearing with me. Last week was so busy for me, guys. Like, so busy. As some of you may know, I'm a podcast producer for GovExec Daily. So, you know, when you work in the news during an election season, especially this election, it gets really busy. When I say I've been up to 3-4 o'clock in the morning every day up until Saturday, waiting for election results, knowing what was going to happen, but just waiting for these guys to just sort of be safe about it, which was the smart thing to do, but also different. It was different. And that's really just the best way to put it. But I'm happy with the results. You know, I've tried to be really, that's a lie. I haven't been neutral. I haven't been neutral at all. I've had several episodes and guest appearances on other podcasts and such where I've gone in on Trump. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. Never will be a fan of Donald Trump. And I'm going to talk about why I wasn't a big fan of Donald Trump at all. But when you work in news, the biggest thing you need to do is sort of offer reality, right? Not so much opinion, but offer reality. And that was the most difficult task for any journalist who has worked during the Trump era, during the Trump administration. These 4 years has been devastating. You know, and you could actually look back on this channel. You'll see some of the old show. You'll see some of the MSR shows. And that show began to end during the 2016 election. And what I mean by that is that was like, you know, the show ended probably like the next year, maybe 2 years later, but really like the next year, the show really ended. And a lot of the episodes, we were really heavy on Trump. And this was during the election. And I got into a lot of debates with friends. And I'm not going on my friends right now. I'm not going on them. I am just talking about a mistake a lot of us made. When I say us, I'm going to include myself. I didn't vote I voted for Hillary, but you know, again, we in this together, and we made a mistake collectively. We made a mistake. Not saying that my friends voted for Trump. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we were indifferent on him. We already didn't expect much from Trump, right? But I'm learning that many of us didn't truly understand the damage this man could do as president. And maybe we misunderstood how important leadership is in this country. Donald Trump impacted every part of our life. I know a lot of us was big on that. That's your president. That ain't my president. That's y'all problem. That's y'all worried about that. I'm gonna be okay. You impacted in some way by something he decided to do. He's made us a nastier country, a meaner country, because that's the standard he sets. Either we become meaner or nastier in result by trying to protect ourselves from him, or if you're a supporter of his, you become meaner and nastier trying to protect him. So there's been a long election cycle for all of us. A lot of anxiety around whether or not we would be able to defeat this guy. And we did. I'm not drinking today, but I wish I were. Been drinking a lot over the past couple of days, just a celebration, so I'm giving my body a rest. We did defeat him. I felt like this election, my biggest concern for people on the left and people in the center, frankly, was going to be whether or not we were going to, after being worn down and worn down and worn down by this man's narcissism and self-involvement and greed and evil, right? Were we going to be able to muster up the energy after getting beat on for years? Beat on. Losing every ounce of hope, or at least them attempting to snatch every ounce of hope from us. And not even being sneaky about it in the most unintelligent way. I don't even know if that's the right way to put it. In the dumbest way. Let me just keep it simple. In the dumbest ways possible. These aren't intelligent people. These aren't slick people. These are people who are just basically beating you down. They're just dumb bullies. And we had to deal with this for 4 years. I just wondered if people were going to be able to muster up the energy to do what needed to be done, and that was vote in droves. Vote like you never voted before and defeat this administration. We've been talking about it for months. We've been talking about it for so long. You got to vote. 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 And I know it was annoying people. I've talked to people. Trust me, I've talked to a lot of my friends. Like, they wanted something more than you just got to vote them out. And guess what? It doesn't end with voting. We'll get to that in a second. But it doesn't end with voting. But let's just talk about Trump right now. What happened? What happened was the American people voted in record numbers. A lot of people voted for Donald Trump. That's absolutely true. I said in my last video that there was no way this was going to be a blowout. It's just not where America is. Twitter and social media allows us to live in bubbles. Bubbles that inside of those bubbles, we only see people that think and act like us. And we think that everyone sees the racism and the horror of this country. I said in the last video, most of the people are not thinking about that. But they do have a set of problems of their own. And they feel like we're not thinking about them. It's crazy. It's weird. It's complicated. A lot of people voted for Trump. But more of us, substantially more. I'm happy. I'm probably using words out of context and I don't even care. More of us voted for Biden and Harris. We did the thing I didn't think we were going to be able to do. I was so scared about it because I was going off conversations I was having with people. And I was worried, man. I was so worried. Here's something for you. I actually had a show recorded. It was called A Sinking Ship. I never released it. I just got rid of it. It's called A Sinking Ship. And the metaphor I was using was that if you're on a sinking ship, right? If you're on a sinking ship, holes of, water's just leaking inside the boat. It's sinking. And somehow another vessel comes up and says, hey, look, you can get on this vessel for a few minutes. It's got some rust and it's not modern. It's not a real nice vessel. It's old. It's what we used to, use in the early 2000s, early 90s. It's an old model, but you can get on this vessel and you can ride this vessel for a couple of years, and you and I together can build this vessel up, fix it up, and make it into a modern, technologically advanced ship that we can live on for years. All you got to do is just hop on. Would you say, sure, yeah, let's do that. Let's work together. Yeah, it's going to be some hard work, but it's better than being on a sinking ship. I thought this ship didn't matter, but damn, I'm about to die on it. Or would you say, no, I can't get on that ship. I want the modern ship. I want the new ship now because I'm frustrated. Of course you wouldn't. I did not do that show because I didn't feel like that was the most fair comparison, even though that's how I feel and how I felt. I didn't feel like it was the most fair comparison because I don't want to diminish anyone's feelings, including my own feelings on where we should be as a country. We should be further. And it ain't black people's fault that Trump got elected. It's not people of color's fault or members of the LGBTQ community, right? Or any interest group out there. We know who got Trump in there. But it's also a big part that played in 2016 was just pure exhaustion and apathy. People were tired And I really worried about that this round. I was so happy. And if you look at my last video, you can see I had a little grin on my face, and it pays to work at news, and you get a little information. You get a little information. Just you know some things, right? No, but seriously, I was so happy to see when it was looking bad on the night of the 3rd, in the morning of the 4th. It was looking bad. All that red on that map was scary. But I told you that night. And I felt it was important. I wasn't going to do a show that night because I felt like it would get dated very quickly. But I wanted to put that out there because we saw those numbers, those record numbers of people voting. It meant that people were voted in record numbers, but they also voted intelligently. They used intelligence to vote. I'm so happy about this. I'm so happy right now. Even though we know the mess that's going on, and I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. But I'm so happy. I'm so proud of the American people. And I know it sounds corny, and I know a lot of people have lost their faith in America. I get it. I understand that. And if you black like me, then why would you ever have faith in America? And it's not about having faith in, people that have had their foot on our neck systematically forever. It's not about having faith in them people. It's about having faith in the people that have been underprivileged and hurt and beat down. I love the fact that we never stop fighting. I love it. I love it, whether you protesting or you just vote or you do both, which I was hoping would happen. God, I was hoping that would happen. Because you can do both. You can go vote, and then you can get your ass back on the street and protest and make sure that the people that you voted into office do what you need them to do. And that's where we are now. But we could not get that done with this fool in the office. It wasn't going to happen. I don't care what anyone has to say. Ice Cube or anyone else that decided to meet with that man. I get it. I understand what you think you were doing, but it was never going to work. There's only one way to get out this mess. I was fearful that we wouldn't figure it out. But God, I'm happy to be wrong. God, I'm happy to be wrong about that, man. Shout outs to black women. Shout outs to Stacey Abrams. Atlanta. Okay. Shout outs to Killer Mike, man. Real talk. I know a lot of people get hard on Killer Mike. Killer Mike does some things that people don't really agree with sometimes, but he was big on getting that vote out too. But mainly shout outs to Stacey Abrams, man, for turning Georgia, or potentially turning Georgia. It's going to be a runoff there. We'll see what happens. But right now, Georgia is blue. Oh, my God. What? Shout out to the folks in Philly, man. And shout out to everybody that were able to say, you know what? Maybe Joe Biden is not Barack Obama. Maybe Joe Biden is not this transformative figure, this person that motivates us so much, but maybe Joe Biden is the right person right now so we can get things done. And more importantly, we have to get a potential tyrant up out of there. So happy. It's a good thing. I know I'm supposed to be apolitical. I'm not supposed to have a political opinion because of the field I work in. That's all I'm saying. But this is the Butler Did It. Okay? This is the Butler Did It. And that's how I feel. I care about black people. I care about underserved people. I care about American people. And I want us to be okay. I care about people. Not a party. Or not a policy. Unless that policy is here to protect the people. And what we dealt with for the past 3 to 4 years was a man that did not care about the people, only cared about himself. Just like Dave Chappelle said, would allow Herman Cain to die and Chris Christie to almost die in a hospital while he gets the cure. Will allow his people to show up to rallies. And now, guess what? Those states he visited are spiking tremendously. We've had more COVID infections than ever before. And they're only going up. And he don't care about that. He ain't said a word about that. All he cares about right now is whether or not he feels the election was stolen from him. That dude had to go. That dude had to go. We can't get anything done with that. You've all worked for an organization or been part of an organization or whatever. When the person at the top is just a mess, how can you get anything done? We fire football coaches for less. Come on, man. So what do we do? What do we do now? We celebrated for a couple of days. I tweeted out Saturday, hey, man, it's good to feel good today. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody felt good. Trust me. Look, me and my wife, we were downtown D.C., in downtown D.C. when they made the announcement that people were honking their horns, having a good old time, man. We drank all night. We watched the acceptance speech with the neighbors. It was a beautiful day. It felt like '08. It felt good. It felt good. And it was okay to sit with that good feeling just for a few minutes. It's okay. We deserve it. 2020 has been awful. I've been talking about the past 4. 2020 itself is worth 10 years of awful. Okay, so we deserved just a day or two to chill out. And maybe you're still partying a little bit. Hey, it's only been a couple of days. I get it. But once that settles down, you need to remember that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not your saviors. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are flawed. Okay? I like them. I like Uncle Joe and I love Kamala. But unless we put a battery in our backs and demand that they create serious change, that they take our demands serious, if we're worried about racial inequality and we feel like right now there's a moment, we can't lose it because we've been celebrating. We voted these people in office for a reason. We felt like the other guy couldn't and wouldn't do it. Now here's some people that maybe they can, so we better make them. COVID-19 is serious. It's delaying everything. It's impacting all of our lives. It's the worst. What are they going to do about it? America needs a lot of change. America needs a lot of change, man. And it's bigger than the president and the vice president. I hope we have learned that. But right now we have leadership that's at least saying they want to listen. Let's find out if they real or not. Let's find out. Challenge these people. They work for you. And that goes for everyone. That goes from every person you voted for on November 3rd up and down that ballot that you used. Okay? Everybody from the top to the bottom of that ballot, you better challenge them. You better challenge them. Or you wasted your vote. And trust and believe, you might get Donald Trump back. Literally. Okay? Stay tuned. I want to talk about one more thing. Let's talk about sore losers when we come back. Okay, another big piece of news that's been developing over the past couple of days is the fact that Donald Trump and his administration are extremely sore losers. Terrible losers. The worst type of loser that you could possibly imagine. Golly, are we surprised at all? But there's a lesson in there, and I won't take a whole lot of time with this, but I do want to talk about it just with you. There's a lesson in how you lose. We talk to kids about this all the time. And what we may have learned, and what I think we've learned about the importance and the power of the presidency and the office of the president is how much impact they have on people. Again, I watched the country change a bit during the Trump administration, just like I watched it change during the Obama administration, just like we watched it change during the Bush administration, right? There's a lot of hopefulness happening during the Obama administration. Good or bad, a lot of hopefulness. During the Trump administration, there was a lot of mean and nasty going on. And we have to remember that there were children and our children that are growing up that know nothing but Donald Trump as their president. And they're watching right now. And they're seeing a guy who is a sore loser, who is refusing to accept the reality, who is doing everything wrong when it comes to losing. Now that you have kids, right? Parents. I'm a new parent. I'm new to this. But one lesson I know that I want to teach my boy is how to lose with grace. Losing is hard. You know, it's funny. Donald Trump said this on election day. He's Donald Trump. I'm about to quote Donald Trump. Donald Trump said this. He said, winning is easy, but losing is hard. You know, a broken clock is what they say. A broken clock is right at least twice a day, right? There's a broken clock that was right. Losing is very hard. We've all been through it. But how do you react when that happens? And what lessons do you learn from it? If you're the Republican Party and you're Republicans, what do you learn from this? Do you learn that maybe, just maybe, the needs of others can sometimes trump your own? That no matter what, no matter how much you stomp your feet and demand something, you can still lose and you will still have to deal with those people. If you're on the Republican side and you're a Trump supporter, that means you denied that there was a virus, a serious virus going on in our country for months now. Well, you've lost. Not only did you lose the election, you're losing the fight against COVID. How do you deal with that? Do you stomp your feet? Do you flail around on the ground? Do you cry about it? Do you complain about it? Or do you adjust? Your leader, and I'm talking to Trump supporters. I know some listen to the show. Like some literally do listen to the show. I hear from them every time I talk about Trump. Your guy, your leader, our leader, because he was our leader, is our leader for at least another 72 days at the time of his recording, is sitting in the White House with his arms folded and his lips poked out, acting like I won't go that hard, but you know what I was going to say. Is that what you want from your children? That what you teach your kids? When they play baseball, basketball, football, soccer, whatever, is that what you teach your kids? To lose and act like a sucker when they lose? Is that what you want? Is this guy going to set the standard for a generation of young people? Are we going to allow that? Losing is hard. I've lost multiple times in my life. My career is full of setbacks. I've been in situations where I thought this was the one. Not to mention all the sports I played in my life. It's hard. It's hard to accept taking an L. But sometimes you must take an L. And if Donald Trump is going to leave us with one last gift, one last terrible, shitty gift from his fucked up presidency, right, is how not to lose. And once again, he's put the burden on the American people to not only explain his mistakes, but correct his mistakes. So if you're a person with Trump posters all over your wall, or you're one of the people I know that tries to convince me that the other side is just as bad, what do you say to your young people about this? What do you say to yourself about this? When you're honest with yourself and you're looking at that man in the mirror, can you honestly say that this is a good look? And what would you do if the other side did it? We got to do better. We took the first step. Half of the country, or over half of the country, has been taking the right steps. What's the other 40% of you going to do? Act like a sucker? Or stand tall, learn how to take an L, and come back better? Think about that, all right? I'm about to sign out. I appreciate you guys, man. Look, I'm going to take a much needed rest. I will be back on Wednesday, though. No breaks from the Butler Did. Don't worry about that. But I'm going to take a much needed little break for the next couple of days. Really cool myself out. It's going to get really crazy because, as I just explained, the Republicans don't want this to be over, and there's a lot of federal news to talk about. But I got some dope guests coming up in the future for this show and a lot of great conversation. Remember that the What Are Those documentary comes out on November 18th via YouTube right here on this channel, All right. Shout outs to all the podcasters out there, all the creators doing their things, man. Shout outs to them. Keep doing your thing. If you're thinking about starting something new, do that. If you want to get creative, do that. Now is the time, all right? And for everybody out there that's struggling, everybody out there that's dealing with this COVID thing or lost their job or whatever, remember that Saturday was a good day and better days are coming. They really are. Keep your head high. Keep it straight on your shoulders. If you're a praying person, keep God in your life. If not, just keep faithful and keep strong. All right? Mind your mentals, mind your chickens. Marshawn said it best. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, please continue to be great. I'm up out of here.